Hey guys, I'm John from watchspec.com. Today I want to talk about the Ginault Ocean Rover 2. This video is going to highlight just the key points. I'll try to make it short and sweet. If you want all the detail, that's going to be in the written review that I have over at watchspec.com. I'll leave a link to that below the video. Check it out. It's also going to have all the detail in the spec table as well. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, sign up for notifications so you don't miss my future content. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. The Ocean Rover 2, very similar to the first generation Ocean Rover, is a Rolex Submariner themed homage watch, I'll say. I say themed because it's not an exact copy of the design of the Rolex Submariner. It throws in its own design cues and characteristics that make it a little different, which is something I really appreciate. The Ocean Rover 2 keeps the core of the original Ocean Rover 1, but applies upgrades and enhancements that really make it a special watch, and that will be the focus of my video today. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about the movement. Ginault is upgrading from their own in-house caliber 72-75 to Swiss-made movements. It's either going to be the Sellita SW200-1 or the ETA 2824-2. If you've seen my Ocean Rover 1 review, you saw that they have started applying that upgrade to the Ocean Rover 1 as well. These two movements are almost identical, just produced by different companies. The movement that winds up in each watch will depend on Ginault's build schedule as well as the status of their stock. Now, Ginault applies the elaborated grade of each of these movements and applies a 5-position, 6-week regulation process. So let's look at the details. Again, these are Swiss made. They both operate at 8 beats per second. They're rated to 38-hour power reserve. Regulation is possible, and as mentioned, these are factory regulated. The movements are hackable. Hand winding is available. 26 joules. This watch is labeled as precision chronometer, and that factory regulation process gets the accuracy within -4 to +6 seconds per day to be registered as the COSC's chronometer rating. Very impressive. I can tell you from my personal experience that both the Ocean Rover 1 and Ocean Rover 2 in my collection are running at sub 2 seconds per day accuracy, which is just fantastic. Okay, let's talk style. Just like the first generation Ocean Rover 1, the Ocean Rover 2 is an homage theme to the classic Rolex Submariner without just copying the design exactly, as so many homage watches do. I would say the Ocean Rover 1 is more in line with older references of the Rolex Submariner, where the Ocean Rover 2 is more in line with the modern style of the Rolex Submariner. Having said that, for the case, one of my pet peeves for the modern style Rolex is the chunky lugs. So I'm really glad Ginault kept the slender lugs for the Ocean Rover 2. This case measures 40 millimeters in diameter. That includes the bezel, 12.7 millimeters thick, including the bezel and crystal. Lug to lug height is 47.5 millimeters, and lug width for the band is set at 20 millimeters. This is a perfect size for a daily wear watch on so many different wrist sizes, and it stays true to the measurements of the Rolex Submariner. The dial on this remains unchanged from the Ocean Rover 1. It's got that gloss black disc, and those large maxi hour markers that rise off the dial give a great depth effect to the look of the dial. The markers offered are the same color options as the Ocean Rover 1. You have what's shown here, the glowing Smurfs lume, which is a crisp white in the daylight and glows blue in the dark. You can also choose the gold sand lume, which I highlighted in my Ocean Rover 1 review, which is so one of a kind and mimics a gold sand beach with that golden hue and those specks that sparkle when caught in certain light. That option glows green in the dark. The dial still contains the 4 lines of text above 6 o'clock. It's just a matter of preference, but I prefer the 2-line version, which is only found on older Submariners. The very bottom of the dial still contains hand built in America, which unfortunately takes away the minute markers. The hands remain unchanged on this. You still get the lume-filled sword-style hands, which actually are an homage to the Rolex 5513 mil sub from back in the 70s, a look that I really appreciate. I like it more than the Mercedes hands personally. The crystal on this watch is one of the upgrade areas for the Ocean Rover 2. Rather than the domed sapphire of the original, the new version is a flat scratch-resistant sapphire crystal. The anti-reflective coating has also been upgraded to a triple-layer optometry grade, which means a clear coating with no blue hue. The clarity is just unbelievable. The date versions of the Ocean Rover 2 also add a 2.5 times Cyclops magnifier just above the date window, a touch that follows the Submariner. The bezel is probably the upgrade that you will notice the most on the Ocean Rover 2. Rather than the previous version, which had a painted aluminum insert, the new Ocean Rover 2 has a ceramic insert to follow that of the modern Submariners. The ceramic is just gorgeous, and while maintaining that classy appeal, it adds a touch of flash and sportiness by the way it reflects the light. All the markings on the bezel are engraved and then painted, which not only looks great, but prevents the markers from being lost in the light's reflection. These markings basically follow the Rolex Submariner, except for one aspect, which are the small dots added for every minute between 20 minutes and 60 minutes to give a full 60-minute graduated bezel. The bezel has a scalloped, polished stainless steel outer edge. This gripping surface has been reshaped on the Ocean Rover 2 to make deeper and sharper teeth for a more aggressive look. It's a subtle change from the Ocean Rover 1, but you can really see it when you look at the two side by side. This too adds that touch of flash and sportiness to the watch. Though it's not yet available, Ginault is also developing a blue ceramic bezel as well. I'm sure that's going to add a whole new level of fun and uniqueness to the Ocean Rover 2 line. The crown remains unchanged from the Ocean Rover 1 and stays true to the Rolex Submariner. I love that polished outer surface with the Ginault flower logo. The band that you get on this is the Submariner style classic 3-link oyster bracelet with 20mm width. This includes the deployant clasp with safety latch. It's a fantastic bracelet, and it actually is an upgrade from the Ocean Rover 1. However, the enhancements are mostly unseen, and we'll talk more about those enhancements in the comfort and usability section. One area that you might be able to see visually is that the mid-link tolerances have been tightened, resulting in smaller gaps for a better fit. So for the overall style, I love the look of this Ocean Rover 2. It's got that Submariner theme, but the differences are the case with the slender lugs, the ceramic bezel with the full 60-minute graduation. You can apply that optional gold sand lume, which is truly one of a kind, to all the markers and hands. And finally, the hand shape with that sword theme is really spectacular. Such classic style allows this to be worn in any scenario. Dress it down, dress it up, t-shirt, tux, it's gonna work in any scenario. With the Ocean Rover 2's flash of sportiness, it's going to grab people's attention a little bit more, and it's going to make a stronger statement than the Ocean Rover 1. And if you take the time to study the design up close, you get to see the high level of quality that Ginault applies to these watches. Every element has perfect finishing and perfect alignment. There's no abnormal gaps. It's really a flawless look, and I'm just really in love with the style of this watch. Okay, let's move on to usability. The usability of this watch is really on par with the Rolex Submariner itself. The water resistance is the 300-meter rating. It meets the ISO 6425 dive watch requirements. My written article goes through all the detail of what that means. I mentioned that the bezel on this watch was upgraded for the Ocean Rover 2. Part of this was the usability of the bezel itself. I mentioned the sharper teeth. It makes it easier to grip. Also, there's better fitment for a more solid and tactile feel when operating this. The bezel will not move unintentionally. It's one of the best I've experienced. The crown has wonderful teeth and size for a perfect operation. The readability, just like the Ocean Rover 1, is spectacular. You get that fantastic contrast between the markers and the dial. The hands in the dial makes it so easy to read. The large markers with the lume applied are impossible to miss, as are the large hands. The upgraded sapphire crystal with the new anti-reflective coating really makes for a fantastic clarity on this watch. The lume options offered are fantastic. You get the glowing Smurfs lume, which is shown here, which is, again, white in the day, blue in the dark, or the gold sand lume, which is that speckled gold in the day and green in the dark. The gold sand lume is actually comparable to the Swiss Superluminova C3. That C3 is the best and brightest of all the Swiss Superluminova variants available. Now the glowing Smurfs lume is comparable to the Swiss Superluminova BGW9, which comes in a close second to the C3. It's got about 95% of the glow of the C3, but has that bluish white glow. The bracelet, while it may look identical to the Ocean Rover 1, it has seen some improvements, especially in the clasp area. This clasp provides that glide lock toolless quick adjustment in 2mm intervals. The upgrades also improve the durability of the clasp. Next is comfort. Again, the 40mm diameter and 12.7mm thickness really makes the Ocean Rover 2 perhaps the most flexible size to accommodate the vast majority of wrists out there. The lug-to-lug height at 47.5mm is very reasonable and will hold the watch nicely against the wrist without creating awkward pressure points. The crown too does not get in the way as the size stays true to the Rolex Submariner. This Oyster bracelet is extremely comfortable with the ability to remove links, and then also with that glide lock you can get a really nice fit that contours nicely to the shape of your wrist. This watch weighs 4.7 ounces or 133 grams, including the bracelet, right in the sweet spot for a daily wear watch. Overall, the Ocean Rover 2 wears very comfortably. Okay, let's end with value and verdict. There is a lot of talk about Ginault as a brand on the internet. A lot of it is negative gossip. I can't speak to the truth of any of that. All I can tell you is about the watches that they produce from my own experience. In my position, I get to experience a lot of different watches in a lot of different price ranges, a lot of different brands. And I'll be honest, the Ocean Rover 1 and Ocean Rover 2 are, in my collection, if I exclude the much higher priced top luxury brands, the Ocean Rover 1 and 2 are the two highest quality watches that I have in my collection. Easily. And the proof is in the product. I mean, look at the photos. You'll see the perfect alignment and finishing of every single component in these watches. If I look at accuracy, these are the two most accurate watches that I have in my collection. They're both sub 2 second per day accuracy watches, and it's just fantastic. And I know there's a lot of negative things said about Ginault, but if you actually look at the comments from the people who actually own these watches or have owned these watches, I've never heard a bad thing said. I've only heard praise about these watches. So again, the proof is in the product. They're really high quality timepieces for the price. The Ocean Rover 2 is only available as an exclusive pre-sale right now to select groups, such as loyalty members or the Ginault Facebook group. It doesn't go on sale to the general public until maybe March, April, May timing, so the next several months. The price for the Ocean Rover 2 will be set at $14.99 for the no date version and $16.99 for the date version. Now, there's no denying there's a lot of great watches in that price range, but the Ocean Rover 2 is one of those great watches. So if you look at the key aspects that you get with this watch, the Submariner-based style, arguably the most classic and flexible watch in history, the Ocean Rover 2 adds its own design touches to make it a bit unique. The perfect sizing at 40mm diameter and 12.7mm thick. That will accommodate a large range of wrist sizes. The movement is Swiss made, either the ETA 2824-2 or the Sellita SW200-1, regulated to be within -4 + 6 seconds per day accuracy to meet the chronometer standards. You get that high quality sapphire crystal. It's got the triple layer AR coating for top of the line clarity and durability. It's got that lume, either the glowing Smurfs, which is that bright white with blue glow, or the gold sand, which is so unique with that speckled gold look in the day, glowing green at night. And then finally, the wonderful craftsmanship, as I mentioned, with all the fantastic finishing and quality and alignment of every single component. If you've seen my Ocean Rover 1 review, you know that I was blown away by that watch, and Ginault just improved it even further for the Ocean Rover 2. It's got that high-end luxury feel that you would expect from a watch. It costs much more, and considering the price point of this watch, with the quality and comfort and usability that you get, it makes it a really great choice for that high-end feel daily wear watch, and I highly recommend it. If you are interested in this watch for yourself, you can try reaching out to Ginault right now directly to see if they have any unclaimed from the pre-sale. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until they go on sale to the general public in the next few months. Please give this video a like if you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and sign up for notifications. And guys, with that, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.